to One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. We are a day late because JJ had a little too fake. Actually, tell him what's wrong with you. Tell him why we're a
Oh
day
well, my tooth's abscessed. You know, I I drink a lot of soda, which isn't good for your teeth. I brush regular, but I'm 60 now, so these teeth are starting to give me some trouble. Anyway, they're going to try to save it, give me, and put one down, one with the screws and put it in. But right now I'm on antibiotics to get the swelling down. I've got a fat face, so you probably can't tell, but this side's really swollen. It had got up into this area today, so I'm on augmentin for the next 7 days, and hopefully swelling gets down, and I get that taken care of December 10th. So that's what's going on with me. Sorry about that, folks.
I mean, that's okay. I know people are on pins and needles waiting every week, so we're a
Oh,
day.
they're ready, Vince.
Gosh.
They're beating on the door. Where's that episode?
All right. Anyway, let's get some housekeeping done. Make sure that you like us on Facebook, and those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe so you will have our information as soon as it drops. So when we're a day late because of an emergency, you don't have to go looking for us. You can just say, "Hey, man, I haven't got the notification. Apparently, it hasn't dropped yet." It's pretty cool, isn't it? So we do know what we're doing sometimes. You can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. You can always support us through Patreon. You just go to patreon.com in the search bar, type in one cardinal, one cup, and one beer, and you can support our efforts. And all of your support is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to be a contestant in one of our trivia contests, the guest on a panel, or if you have an interesting baseball related topic you are educated on, drop us an email, drop us a DM, send us a comment, somehow get a hold of us and say, "Hey, I'd like to be on the show because I'm much better looking than YouTube." That's all the criteria we're looking for. We need eye candy, okay? And we're just not it. So,
Yes, definitely.
um, anyway, JJ, aside from the tooth, how are you doing?
You know what? I could get up out of a coma and talk baseball. I love baseball. And Vince, I got a question for you. Do you play like the lottery? Like, does it have to get up to so much before you play the lottery? What's your measure? Oh, you have a line. Is it a million? Is it a billion? What
It's
is?
a billion.
Oh, so
I
you're buying a ticket when it gets to a billion.
I hate gambling. I don't care if people gamble. That's their business. I'm not against gambling. I just do not like throwing money away. I don't like if I let go of money, I want something in return. A good, a service, or interest, or something like that. In gambling, I know what the percentages are, and you're going to lose at the end unless you're like a really good poker player, something like that. A game of skill. But I don't know how to play poker very well, so games of chance I do not do. But if the lottery hits a billion, that old fantasy goes on in my head. And honestly, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody or anything. This is just the way I am. I I would give most of it away. I mean, I would. I'd pick out my favorite charities and just get rid of most of it. And I'd probably live on about 10 million. So I think I
Man,
could
you be
do that.
roughing it. That's roughing it. Well, the reason I ask, most people are like events where it gets to a certain level, whatever that level is, they'll go, you know what, I'll go out and buy a couple tickets just for fun. Some people buy every week, and I know people who's won. Most people don't. And Vince, I love sports gambling, but I'm horrible at it. And I usually do it once a year, and then I get a wake up, slapped in the face, and I say, okay, I'm not going to do it again. And that's about once a year. But Vince, there is a baseball thing happening here. It's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket. It's the Paul Skeens Chrome 2024 card. This card is a one of a kind. It's out there somewhere. I'm getting reports and reading articles that baseball card shops can't even keep these cards in. As soon as they come in, people are buying the whole box of packs of cards, and they're going like hotcakes. This Paul Skeens card is, like I said, a Chrome 2024 top, and it's got a piece of his uniform in it, and at the bottom, it's signed, and it's a one of one. Now, this card is pretty valuable, and in the sports, be honest with you, in the collecting world, it's only as valuable as somebody's willing to give you. It's hard to put these amounts on something. But Vince, if you get this card, they have each day it keeps climbing what you'll get. If you win this card, open a pack, get this card, and you present it to the Pittsburgh Pirates, this is what you would win. And this is just neat to think about. You would get season tickets, 2 seats behind home plate for 30 years. Now, people say, well, I don't live in Pittsburgh, but you could put on StubHub. If the Pirates make the playoffs or go to the World Series, you got 2 tickets to all these games over the next 30 years. That's pretty incredible. Now, that's not it, though. You also get to have a softball game at Pirate Stadium with 30 of your best friends, and the coaches on each side will be Pirate alumni. Can you
I don't
believe
have
it?
pretty
You know,
friends.
well, hey, if you're going to play softball, people be coming out of the woodwork. It's like you ain't got 30 friends. You win that card, people be coming out of the woodwork. You get a spring training experience, including a meet and greet, and Paul Skeens will sign 2 jerseys for you, a home and away jersey, and he'll sign them for you. That's pretty darn cool there, but that's not it. That's not all of it. You also get to take a team batting practice and team workout. You get to go on the field, take batting practice with the team, and work out with the team. That's pretty cool. And then his girlfriend, who's an Olympic gymnast, she has thrown in. You can watch a game with her. She's a very attractive lady, I have to say. And you get to watch the whole game with her in a private suite. That's pretty darn cool. And now, just recently, uh, let's see, who is the Seth Meyers? I did not know he's a lifetime Pittsburgh Pirate fan. And if you will bring the card to his show, you get a VIP experience, uh, behind the scenes and everything. And all he wants is to get to see the card. So you get to go to the Seth Meyers show and show him the card and get the VIP experience, whatever that is. Now that's pretty darn cool. So these cards are going like hotcakes, and there's also some other cards in there. I know Sarhara O has a couple of autographed cards in there too on these chrome cards. So good luck. And if any of you win it, remember, I've always been a friend of yours. Just think of me if you get one of these cards. So anyway, Vince, I think that's a unique experience, and Topps has really outdone themselves because it's kind of created this craze where everybody's out there buying these packs now, looking for that golden ticket.
Now, was doing one card the idea of Topps, or was it the idea of the Pirates or Major League Baseball? Was Topps just putting out one, and then the Pirates said, "Hey, this is so cool, we can jump on this craze and do some get some free publicity with this."
Yeah, I
How
think it was top. I think it was Topps, but Vince Paul Skeens is a unique character. I don't remember a rookie generating this much excitement on his team, in his for his fan base, for nationally, and for the collecting community. The last player I can think that was even like this might have been Griffey Jr., Fernando Venezuela, uh, Dwight Gooden, somebody like that. And Mickey Mantle, for some reason, ever since Mickey played in New York, of course, with the Yankees, but his memorabilia, his cards have never went down. They only keep increasing in cost. There's only a few people like that. And since Skeens now is won the rookie of the year, everything's starting to get a little more valuable. His cards are getting grabbed up quick. People are trading for him, or I think overpaying for him, perhaps. You never know what he's going to be. This might be it right here. But I believe Topps, like to answer your question, I think Topps put this out a one of one because Skeens just seems to be the hot card right now, the hot player that everybody is collecting because they think the sky's the limit. The next 2 or 3 years, he could be just get better and better. Who knows? But right now, he's the guy.
cool.
Yeah.
I had a cool thing happen today.
Oh, please
Uh,
share.
is people who know I collect vinyl, but I don't buy new vinyl. I part of the fun is going to the antique stores, the resale shops, your Salvation Armies, places like that. There's a few used record stores in St. Louis that are awesome. Going there and finding some treasures. Well, I we were in Walmart today, having to get the oil changed on my 2022 Mystic Blue Chevy Spark.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Um, and we're walking around. We had to buy groceries, but you got like 45 minutes to kill. And so we start we're walking every inch of the store. We finally get to electronics, which, if I didn't have my wife with me, probably would have been the first place I went. Um, and we're looking at the records, the albums, the vinyl. And I found something in the clearance vinyl that I thought, okay, I am buying this new. The only other new vinyl I bought since I started collecting about 7, 8 years ago is I bought Jack White's LP that came out about 19 or 20, somewhere around there. I love Jack White. So, but I found one of my favorite bands from the 90s on vinyl, Stone Temple
Right.
Pilots.
Stone Temple Pilots. Interstate
For
Love Song on that?
Yes, yes. Interstate
Ah, there.
Song, Vaseline, Meat Plow. Some of my favorites are on here. But this is what's really cool. Um, Vinyl is made different nowadays than it used to be. So just a second.
All right.
The
I
turntables.
didn't know it was made different.
Check
Oh,
that
wow.
out. Isn't that beautiful?
Man, that
Yeah.
is beautiful.
So
Is that a special collector's edition or something, or is that just the normal one that came out?
I don't know. I don't know if they do this to all of them now because I don't collect new ones. I did notice when I opened the Jack White, I got it a few years ago. It was very thick. It didn't feel like normal vinyl, and this is also very thick for
Hmm.
vinyl. I mean, I don't think I could break it without really, really putting some effort into it. So I can tell they're made different, but I don't know anything about record pressing or anything. But I just think it was a cool find for me. It was on clearance for $10, which yeah, I'll spend $10 on this.
Heck, heck yeah.
Um, so I was really charged about that. And I just brought it downstairs about a half hour ago. I played the first side while I was finishing my preparation. So just happy.
Outstanding. What is there a hidden treasure, a hidden album that you've been looking for, or something specific, or just a genre or something that you're looking for?
This is going to sound weird. There's a few that I
Okay.
would like. Um, there are two. There's a band out of England called The Sweet that had a very fascinating history. They started off as a bubblegum band, and then they progressed to where they were a pop band, and then they kind of went a little more heavy rock and roll towards the end. And then the lead singer had some issues with drugs, alcohol, and he actually got jumped in a fight and uh, ruined his voice. It's kind of a sad story, but they put out two albums that I would like. One, Desolation Boulevard. It had Fox on the Run and Ballroom Blitz. That one. They also put out a second one during that era called Give Us a Wink, and that's more of a heavy album. And those two are on my list. I found Give Us a Wink at a bookstore. Me and Evelyn were there about 2 or 3 years ago, and I for some reason I thought, okay, I'm gonna get this next time I'm here, probably because I already had enough crap in my hands. Then when I went back, it wasn't there, and I thought, who else wants this album besides me? So those are a
Don't know.
few. The original Joy Division album I would really like.
A lot of
Um,
people like them. I don't know much about them, but a lot of people love that group.
uh, yeah. I I had a friend in high school who, now this is in the early 80s, this is pre-internet, but he was really into underground punk. And I'd go to his house and he'd say, have you heard of Gang of Four, Joy Division, um, uh, you know, groups that I X, The Blurt, stuff that no, and he'd put it on, and I really like that kind of stuff. So the original Joy Division album, the first one, I would really like because he let me borrow and I played the heck out of it. So yeah, there's a few out there I'd really like. I'd like a pretty good copy of Led Zeppelin's Fourth, of course, which would be pretty cool. I did finally find a good copy of Dark Side of the Moon. I'm looking for a good copy of Wish You Were Here from Floyd also. Um, and probably a good copy of The Red-Headed Stranger from Willie Nelson. I would like to get my hands on that. So,
Very good.
but
Very good.
I know I can go on Amazon or eBay or something and get them, but that kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, just kind of discovering that stuff. You never know what you're going to come across.
And that's
Oh
that's
yeah.
how that's how with the Jack White album and with this I kind of justified it. I found the Jack White album at an Overstock store and I oh cool, so brand new, still in the package and everything. And this I found it cleared some Walmarts and I'm gonna count those.
All right, man.
Uh well JJ, speaking of Paul Skeens, he won Rookie of the Year.
Yes, he did.
And Gil from the Yankees also won Rookie of the Year, and I had both of those wrong.
I
Um,
I think I did too. I didn't think Skeens played enough, and I thought Jackson Merrill would win the National League. And off the top of my head, I don't remember who I had for American League, but it was somebody different.
for the American League, we had the guy from the Orioles, and the name is um,
Oh, like Crowder or
yeah, Crowder.
Crowder.
So
Okay, yeah, I thought he was. I did too. Oh well, it shows you what I know.
see what I Skeens did played half a season, and I know that this is an award that they gave Skeens. They're trying to pump him up, and I know that the writers vote on this, but I think it was kind of pumped up a little bit,
I do too.
And Gil started off great and ended good, but he had that middle section of the season where he wasn't that good. So I got both of them wrong. So um, right now, I'd like to introduce our new host who doesn't get anything wrong, and I am leaving because I am so embarrassed and I will never do the show again. Get in here, dear. My wife's taking. I'm joking.
Oh, you had me going. I thought you had to take a bathroom break or something. I didn't know. Hey, by the way, Skeens, that's only the Pittsburgh Pirates' second Rookie of the Year. Jason Bay was the only other Pirate Rookie of the Year, so I thought they had more than that, but just two. And of course, the Yankees have had quite a few. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one, of course, was 2017 Aaron Judge. So the Yankees have had quite a few Rookie of the Year, but anyway, just in their history, that's a little trivia there.
Um, Manager of the year. You got Stephen Bott right, and I picked the Royal manager, and I got wrong. I suck so bad.
Well, Vogt
And
got 142 votes to the Kansas City manager 73, and then of course the Detroit manager AJ Hinch, who did a good job too, 41. But Vogt, I just think, man, that dude from beginning to end competed for the best record in the American League, and I just think he had a lot of injuries. Who was it? Bieber, and there was another pitcher, a main pitcher they had that went down. And I just think, boy, they just loved him. He's great with the bullpen, and that bullpen was fantastic this year. So good for Cleveland, good for Vogt. But that doesn't mean he's going to be around a long time. Sometimes these managers of the year, as you know, Vince, they're gone in 2 or 3 years. Sometimes the next year
wow.
they get rid of them. So, but good for him. 2024, heck of a year.
Yeah, and what'd you think about the National League Manager of the
Well,
Year?
I kind of had a favoritism towards Schultz, so I was wrong on this. We said it should be a three-way tie there. All three guys did a heck of a job. But Pat Murphy, I think the Brewers didn't have a. I'll be honest with you, I don't think people had them finishing very high, and they beat the crap out of the other four teams. So good for Pat Murphy and Milwaukee. And I think that's Milwaukee's first manager of the year they've ever had, and they've had some good managers over the years. So congratulations, and I hope the Brewers aren't quite as good as they were this year.
Yeah, excuse me, I have to look something up. Um,
Sure.
because there we are. Okay. Because I had the show for yesterday ready to go, and then it got postponed because JJ had a little toothache, and I forgot to add this to my notes. So let me print something out real fast. I know this is just riveting, riveting. Let's see. Uh, oh, come on. There's got to be a way to print this. Print right there. Aha.
Now we're ready.
Uh, and I hope I printed it to the right thing. Uh, here we go. The printer is going, and now I can properly do the show again. So get my stuff out of my way. Um, yeah, I think I did pick Pat Murphy. I was not. I remember saying I wouldn't be surprised if the Brewers got last place, and then look what happened.
I know they played the most consistent the year, and they didn't have the A1 pitching staff they usually did. They patchworked it all year long, and he did a great job. Couple, two or three of their hitters had big years, but what a job, man! Held it together.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, did you see the list of the new Hall of the first time Hall of Famers on the ballot?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I got both the ones that from last year that are still on the ballot and the new guys. Um, uh, what who stands out to you, Vince? Anybody in particular?
I see only one that's a first ballot, and that, of course, is Ichiro Suzuki. Um, let's go through these one on one. And do you think that they're Hall of Fame caliber sometime? Felix Hernandez. What do you think?
Vince, now this is just, I don't have the stats in front of me. It's just me recollecting his career. Really good career, outstanding player, but I don't think a Hall of Famer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think his prime was long enough.
I agree.
Um, Carlos Gonzalez.
Again, he had no, it played well. They always hold, seems like they're softening their stance on Colorado Rockies. Before it was like, well, they play in Colorado. And of course, Gonzalez had some a heck of a years, but they were just short lived where he was a all-star type player. And he was a good player. And he'll probably go in the Rockies Hall of Fame, but not the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Definitely, definitely, I agree. Destin Pedroia.
Man, he was a really good player. I just, again, you have to string these years together a long time. And I just think, off the top of my head, not seeing the stats or anything, I would say no. I would say no. Very good player, though. He's
Hanley
MVP.
Ramirez.
Hanley seems like just when he got on the radar, he kind of dropped off. Really good. It seemed like the first 5 years really built a career, just kind of leveled off, and this was a good player. So no, I say no to Hanley Ramirez.
Fernando Rodney.
No, a good player, short-lived, top-notch reliever, long career, but just had a nice major league career, but not all. They're putting more and more relievers in, but I don't see Rodney being one of those guys.
Yeah. Ian Kinsler.
Man, I love Ian Kinsler, Mizzou product. You probably know what town he's from. Vince knows all that kind of stuff. I loved him as a player. We played fantasy league, and he was like always the second baseman to go behind like Roberto Alomar and some of those other guys. But not a Hall of Famer. Really good player though.
Troy Tulowitzki.
No, no.
Ben
I think
Zobrist.
Ben Zobrist. Zobrist a great utility player. I'm gonna say no, no, not a Hall of Famer.
So far, we're in complete agreement. Russell Martin.
No,
I
now
got first
he was an
ballot.
all. Well, he was a good catcher, and he would probably have started for most teams. But at the end of the year, if you're putting best players of each league together, he wouldn't be on it.
Okay. These next three players I really like, but I only see one of them getting in eventually. Curtis Granderson. I think is just a quality human being.
Fantastic.
He is a wonderful person, but just the Hall of Good, not the Hall of Fame.
Amen.
I loved Adam Jones, just did not sustain it long enough. But
I agree.
there were a few years he was the best center fielder in the American League and maybe baseball. Um, but the prime wasn't long enough. One of the issues that we have is, and I'm not even going to talk about HGH steroids at this point. Players used to take, and it was completely legal, greenies, amphetamines,
Yeah.
and and keep themselves. Now that all that's been banned, you see careers that just have shorter primes because let's face it, when you're 32 years old, it's hard to maintain the energy you had as a young man. So I think that has a lot to do with why a lot of these people just don't have these primes that are long lasting. I think this is not a first ballot, but I think he eventually gets in. CC Sabathia.
Oh, yes, I do. And Vincent would be so surprised. I mean, he played in New York, and I know how they vote, and it's spread out between all the teams and all the writers and everything. But I could see CC getting real close this time. If not this time, next year, next time for sure. A lot of victories, a lot of moments that people remember. I know he's got a lot of strikeouts too, and he played a long time and played a lot of World Series. So I could see CC. I'm with you going in, but I could even see him making it this time perhaps. But next second year for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a little on down the line. It's going to
Okay,
depend on who's on the ballot,
that's true. That's a big part of it.
and I think this year Billy Wagner's going in, and Ichiro's going in, and maybe one more. Um,
Do you think the other one could be Andrew Jones from the
should be
10 Gold Gloves on those great Braves teams?
what
Uh,
close to 500 home runs, 1,500
yes,
RBIs. Um, yeah, I I and I don't mean to dig up old dirt, but he had that scandal um, where there were a lot of Atlanta celebrities, not just baseball players, who were uh, shenanigans were going on in a strip club. I'll put it at that. And he was involved with that, and I wonder if that has kind of hurt him.
a little bit, maybe a little bit, but it's been a while now. I don't know if I don't think he went to jail, or I don't know if he got fined, or
No,
I don't know
no, no, it was nothing
whatever
like
happened.
that. He just testified what happened, and he was honest in his testimony. Yeah, I participated in some of the stuff, and my feeling is it doesn't matter. You're an adult, and it's a legal establishment, so whatever. Um, but I don't have any other explanation why someone with those kind of numbers who played in that many postseasons, who also had such stellar defense, is not in. That's just mind-boggling.
You think the only thing I noticed on him at the end of his career, sometimes people stick around a little too long, and maybe their last 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 years aren't their prime. I know it's not their prime anymore, but it's really, and sometimes people just remember the last part of your career, the last thing you did. And I think his last few years was just a big drop off from his heydays. But Vince, like you said, 10 years, all the home runs. I don't know about the strikeouts and his batting average and all that, but right there, those two things alone should get you at the top of the list right there. So I really think he's got a good shot. And I heard MLB channel, um, somebody was saying Bobby Abreu. He said, please look at his stats. I think they're just looking at, the big ones, the five ones. But they said he had more total bases in 18 years than Gwynn did in 20. I haven't looked that up, but MLB channel said that. I was like, really? So today I was doing a lot of sleeping. I didn't get into my usual research, But if that's the case, that's pretty amazing because he didn't walk a lot and he had a 291 lifetime batting average. And I know he won a couple of All-Star game home run derbies, which is just that's a nice little cake, icing on the cake kind of stuff. But he hit a lot of home runs, elite player for a while, and he might be a guy worth looking at for a few more years and comparing him to some of the greats. So anyway, Abreu maybe be around a while longer, a small chance of making it. But I'm with you, Wagner, and of course Ichiro, and maybe Andrew Jones getting in this year.
I remember last year, 2 years ago, when there started to be buzz around Abreu, and you, you look, I looked at his stats. I think he's a lot better than what I think. I think with Abreu, he was never the guy. He was never like one of the top five players in the National League or so and so Bobby Abreu. You never heard that, but it was a level of consistency that maybe is Hall of Fame worthy. And I hate to throw this out there again, but you can match up a lot of their stats with Harold Baines, and you
Oh,
know Harold
yeah,
Baines.
and Harold was a good player. I don't know. I don't think Hall of Fame level, but very good player.
So, oh well, good luck to all those who are on the list, and
Yeah.
good luck to those who are on the whatever they call it, the classics list that we went over a few weeks ago. Um, the Silver Sluggers were also named. Um, Catcher William Contreras won his second for the Brewers. Bryce Harper, first base. Kentel Marte, second base. Manny Machado, third base. Of course, it's the National League. Francisco Lindor, shortstop. Jackson Merrill, Teoscar Hernandez, and Jerickson Profar in the outfield. Shohei Ohtani, designated hitter and utility, whatever jack of all trades you're calling it now, Mookie Betts. Um, the only, it's not an issue, but I I thought that Suzuki had a good shot at being named the Silver Slugger. If he didn't miss 30 games due to injury, possibly, he would have
Maybe.
gotten up to 30 home runs, had 100 RBIs, and his batting average was great. His on base percentage is really good. He takes his walks. But it was kind of hopeful thinking. I really don't have an issue with who made it in the outfield. I don't have an issue with any of these guys except that Ohtani guy. What are
You
your
know,
thoughts?
I was, first of all, my thoughts always go to the Cardinals, but Vince, in reality, in my heart of hearts, there wasn't a Cardinal that was Silver Slugger uh, worthy this year. Only guy, I mean, we've had guys that made some progress this year, win, but when you match them up against Lindor, no, Lindor deserved the Silver Slugger. We had guys that were hurt. Contreras, look, when he played so good this year, but he was hurt twice. And I hope if he does play first base next year, I think that's going to help him out. In because that catching is just a rough position. I don't know how those guys do it. Yadier Molina, I don't know how he did 150 games for that many years in a row. That was crazy. And he was just a maniac back there. But looking at those, my thoughts are Mookie Betts. Like, getting awards are just little yard markers that help your case for possibly a Hall of Fame. And Mookie Betts had his seventh Silver Slugger. And I think that's fantastic. You had a lot of guys that was their first, Jackson Merrill, and who's a rookie, and then Profar, who's been around a long time. It was his
Yeah.
first. William Contreras, great year for a catcher, his second. And then you had a lot of guys that was their fourth. Harper was his fourth, Lindor, and that was it in the National League. And team, they give a team Silver Slugger, which I think is a fairly new thing. And of course, the Dodgers, if they didn't win everything else anyway, they got the team Silver Slugger. Just another reason that I'm tired of those guys. So yeah, good. Everybody on there, I don't have an argument with, and I can't say any of the Cardinals deserve to knock them off for the Silver Slugger. So job well done, guys.
Very good. In the American League, catcher Salvi Perez, first base, future Cub, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., second base, Jose Altuve, Third base, Jose Ramirez. Shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. The outfield, Santander, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. Designated hitter, future Cub, Brent Rooker. I
Oh,
wish.
he's a Cub now. I thought, oh, look out.
And the utility guy, Josh Smith from the Rangers. And I had no problem with any of these. I thought they were all very deserving.
Oh, definitely. You know, a lot of guys, Bobby Wood Jr. I'm so happy for all of his success and all the awards he's now getting. That was his first. And Statlander from the Orioles, who I think is going to be a free. I think he's a free agent. So he's if somebody needs an outfielder there. Perez is fifth. Fantastic. That guy, I tell you what, Vince, he's kind of found the fountain of youth, and he's making an argument for a possible Hall of Famer one day. 5 Gold Gloves now, and he's been there on those 2 World Series teams in Kansas City. I'm kind of pulling for him. I hope he sticks around a few more years and puts up these big numbers. Altuve, his seventh. Yeah, that was the most in the American League, and then you had Ramirez and Perez each with 5. So, yeah, congratulations. And the team Silver Slugger, of course, the Yankees. Yeah, that's no surprise. So you had the Dodgers and the Yankees getting the team Silver Sluggers, and just another reason to hate the Yankees.
Don't need another reason. It's born in me.
Yeah, that's true. Man, they just whip up on everybody.
Any other general news that you have?
Oh, there was just some players that we kind of seen coming that were declined qualifying offers, so they are officially free agents. And I'll just read off these names real quick, and you can throw in what you think. Willie Adames, it's official. He turned down the qualifying offer from the Brewers. Pete Alonso, Bergman from the Astros, Corbin Burns, which everybody could use a Corbin Burns in their pitching staff. So he's out there. Max Fried, Gerardo Hernandez, Sean Mania. I'm terrible with
Anaya.
names. But okay. Anthony Sandelaire, Luis Severino, Soto. And Soto is the talk of the town. He seems to be on some sort of tour where he's meeting with each team. It's like like a college a kid coming into college, and each college is trying to persuade him, take him out to dinner, show him the town, and that kind of thing. So he'll be in a city near you real soon. And let's see, Christian Walker from Arizona is also out there. So these are some of the guys. Some of them aren't surprises. They're out there. It's going to be free agency time here real soon, and kind of excited about that. See where everybody ends up. It's just not a Cardinal thing for me. It's like, ooh, how's these teams developing? Who's going where? There's a lot of rumors out there. And Vince, that's the thing. When you go on the internet, it's all rumors. All Cardinals are in a possible four-way trade for a superstar or something like that. And you're like, oh man, I don't need to look at that because 99.9% of them are wrong. So anyway, it's just kind of exciting to see all that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the only player who accepted the qualifying offer is Nick Martinez from the Reds, which
okay.
which tells me that Nick Martinez sees something in the Reds that I think a lot of people see. There's potential there. So makes me wonder if the buzz around Cincinnati, around the team, is that we're going to add to this team and try to make a serious run because let's face it, it's not a strong division. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I thought that was interesting that he accepted the qualifying offer. Good pitcher, very good pitcher. He could have made his million somewhere else, but he accepted the qualifying offer, and it could be something as simple as he and his family don't want to move from Cincinnati. But there you go. So
There was a trade. I think this was yesterday. Tampa Bay and the Mets. The Mets got the young outfielder Jose Siri. Brody was very excited about this. He goes, "Oh, they got him. He's got some power. Plays a great defense." I know the Mets have Bader, who was like their fourth outfielder, and he was a center fielder. And then Tarasco. They had another outfielder too. I think he had abdominal surgery. So this Tampa Bay outfielder who's pretty good, very good defensive outfielder. He doesn't hit a lot. I know he hits like I think last year he hit 195 perhaps, but he's very good defensively. That's coming over, and they had to get rid of a Eric. Um, Ortiz, I think there. I can't read my writing, but they sent a pitcher over to Tampa Bay. So we'll see what happens there. That's the only trade we've had recently. Um, let's see. Anything else? Oh, the Astros, the ballpark known as Minute Maid Park. They are now signed a new contract. The Minute Maid's sponsorship is up, and they have a Dakin Park. It will start being called Dakin Park January 1st. And Dakin is a corporation out of Japan, and they're known for making air conditioners. And they will now, the park will be called that till
Cool.
2029. Yeah, it'd be cool. They'll put the roof on there, and that place will be frozen, the tundra there, the frozen tundra of Houston. Um, David Bell, who lost his job with Cincinnati, has now landed in the front offices of the Toronto Blue Jays. He'd be the VP of baseball operations and assistant GM. So I think Bell did a fine job. I mean, they didn't win any championships or nothing when he was in Cincinnati, but I thought he was a pretty good manager. And so he's going to be up there. And maybe, sometimes if anything goes wrong, those type of guys get slid in. So he'll be working in the office. So don't feel too bad for him. And Vince, we had a player pass, and I'll be honest, his name was Al Fiera, and he played predominantly with the Dodgers, and he passed away. He was on two World Series titles with the Dodgers, and he was 84 years old. He passed away. He played 8 years in the big leagues, and he was a Dodger from 63 to 1968. Went on and played 3 years with the San Diego Padres, and he was an outfielder, pinch hitter, and he ended in 1971 playing for the Cincinnati Reds. So anyway, I just caught that out there, and to be honest with you, I didn't know a lot about him. I was just a little bitty baby back in the '60s, so it's good to catch up on a player I didn't know much about. So that's it right there. That's all my news.
All right. So what's going on in Cardinal land?
Well, let me tell you, not a whole lot. Rumors, 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 rumors. Um, a lot of times I hear, "Oh, we're keeping this guy. Well, we might move that guy." I think it all depends on what the deal we get in the deal and what we have to give up. I know they're trying to save some money and open up some payroll and let the young guys play, but I know Sonny Gray wants to stay. That's what everybody's saying. Um, the MLB gave away their reliever of the year awards on the MLB channel, and to nobody's surprise, Ryan Helsley got that in the National League, 49 saves, and Emmanuel Clase from the Cleveland won the American League uh, reliever of the year. And the only other thing in the Cardinal news is Skip Schumacher got a job with the Texas Rangers. And I thought Skip 2 years ago was manager of the year. And then this year they fell on hard times and they got rid of him. And that's typical for some reason. The Florida Marlins are kind of dysfunctional like that. But he went up there and he will be a senior advisor for the Texas Rangers. And Skip Schumacher seems like a good baseball man. And I'm glad he's up to staying in baseball. And one last thing, Vince, I don't believe this, but when they had the National League Managers of the Year, and I'm looking that up, they had like the top six managers that got votes. Ollie Marmol got one vote. He finished sixth in the Manager of the Year. I don't know who the heck, Mrs. Marmol, Mrs. Marmol. I guess was one of the people who got to vote for him, and she voted for her son, and good for him. He got one vote, and hey, we had a much better year.
I was going to
I don't
say,
know if he
went from
uh,
91 losses
to what did we finish this
12
year?
more
83
wins.
wins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think
about
we go from 71 to 83, 12 games better.
12 game swing. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But I think
Considering,
that's more of a organization thing with the pitchers we picked up and who we let go and things like that. I think that had more as much to do with as Ollie. Seems like managing is more of a organizational thing now too, with the GMs, the front office, and all that working together. So anyway, Ollie Marmol gets a little shout out, one vote for sixth place for the National League Manager of the Year, and that's it from Cardinal news.
all right. In Cub news, Shota Imanaga was placed on the second team All MLB team. So very good Shota. and his ERA was 2.91.
Outstanding.
And he had one game, I said against the Mets. He gave up 11 earned runs in like 3 innings. You take away that start, I just take it away, and he's your National League Cy Young winner. I, well, maybe not Cy Young winner. Chris Sale did win the Triple Crown, but he's right in the conversation. If you take out that one star, because his ERA is probably below two, take that out. Um, I thought that he was very deserving. Second team was, and I do know that all the games count, even the bad ones, but yeah, he had
Yeah.
that great year. Um, we had Owen Casey was added to the 40-man roster, protecting from the Rule 5 draft. And so being he's on the 40-man, I do anticipate him this year getting some at bats, making it to the big league club. I don't know what else you can ask him to do in the minor leagues, so he may not break camp with the club. Um, but I'm sure we're going to see him at the MLB club sooner than later this year. Um, Tyler Zombro has been hired as a special assistant. He is was a major league pitcher, and he specializes in pitching. Very highly uh, esteemed person in the game of baseball. So special assistant, I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe it's the guy who goes to Max Fried and says, "Hey, you want to come to the Cubs?" Um, maybe, who knows? We've had a few DFA'd. Adbert Alzolay's DFA'd. Patrick Wisdom DFA'd, and Trey Wingardner, all three DFA'd. And I'm sure we're going to get a few more that are DFA'd. Alzolay started the year as our closer, was hurt basically the whole year. Pitched terrible as a closer after the previous year having a pretty good year as a closer. But it's he's been with us for about 6 years off and on in the bullpen starting, and just no consistency. He needs a change of scenery. We need to move on from him. Wisdom, if you want Dave Kingman on your team, there you go. I think he hit about 190 in limited at bats. He did hit, his 7, 8 home runs, something like that. And he has had years where he's hit, and one year he hit close to 30. So he's out there. What really is disappointing about Wisdom was when he first came up with the Cubs, he was playing third base, and he was serviceable at third base, and then he forgot what a glove was. It just started to really suck. So we did make a few other moves. We picked up Elijah Morgan from the Guardians for our outfield. I think he's 13th, 15th rated prospect. Alfonso Rosario. Morgan has an ERA, career ERA about 3.2. Last year, his ERA was under two. He's not a strikeout pitcher, but he's a good middle relief guy. He's not going to be a high leverage arm, but someone who could bridge, fifth, sixth inning guy to get us to the high leverage guys. He could do the job. And we picked up from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, backup catcher Mike. It's Thaiss. So I'm not sure exactly how he's pronounced it. Tice. We picked him up for cash considerations. Not much bat there, but we do need depth at catcher. And I don't even know if he'll make it through spring training. But this is a move where we're trying to, I guess, collect catchers. Last few things in Cub news. The radio team of Pat Hughes and Ron Coomer have been extended, as has Jim DeShays and Boog Sciambi. Boog, I a lot of people don't like him, and I couldn't put my finger on it until he did an interview this week on a Chicago podcaster show. And he, first of all, he's not a Chicago guy. He's a fantastic broadcaster. You can put him on basketball, football, baseball. He does it all. Why the Cubs thought, hey, we'll make him our play-by-play man is beyond me, because he's not really a Chicago guy, and he calls the Cub games as if he's calling a national game. He does, we're used to Harry Carey, Jack Brickhouse, um, Len Casper, people who you could tell their fandom for the team was there, and Boog just hasn't had it. He just kind of calls it like he's doing the Sunday night game for ESPN, which he does. But he made a statement that really, I think, rubbed the fans the wrong way, because what the fans have been saying is one of the things we were saying all year, and I was saying it too, is where's the passion? Why doesn't Council crack the whip? This team is in a malaise. There's no urgency here. And I do not like when, oh, well, it's the beginning of the season. Oh, well, it's the beginning of the season. We'll straighten it out. Those games count, damn it. And Boog said, well, fans, they say, baseball, it doesn't work like that. It's not like football where you have to have urgency. There, it doesn't really work like that. And I'm thinking, the heck it doesn't. I've seen just as much baseball as you have, Boog. I'm sure you've seen more of it, but we did not start playing good until finally Justin Steele went to the dugout after the Cubs decided to throw the ball around and said, wake the F up. And by golly, we played much better from that point on. There has to be times when you have to have urgency in baseball. And to wait until September to say, okay, we have urgency now is ridiculous. You lose 2 or 3 games in a row in a baseball season, that next game, you better have some urgency. We need to knuckle down and win this. We need to stop this losing right now, nip it in the bud, and get going in the right direction. I do not believe in long losing streaks. I believe that you can lose 2, 3, 4 games in a row. When it starts hitting 5 and 6, something needs to be done. You don't wait till you've lost 9 or 10 in a row to shake up the lineup or for the manager to overturn the catering table or something. It needs to be done early to stop these losing streaks while they are small. And that's one of the biggest criticisms that I have of Council and other people have of Council is there just seemed to be no urgency. And we didn't see that until Justin Steele, who you can tell he plays with passion, he finally said to his teammates, wake the F up. It's a guy who started and pitched many, many years in the minor leagues and slowly went through the system and dealt with injuries, and he finally made it. And he gets to this team, has a great year last year. They won 83 games. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. And then you do the same thing. You just kind of May and June, just kind of like, well, whatever, get out of that malaise now, work on it now, get some urgency. So, not a huge fan of Boog Sciambi, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I've now put my finger on it. It's not just that he calls the Cub games as if he's calling a national game. It's his attitude about baseball I completely disagree with. Um, I imagine he's a nice guy. This is nothing personal, but we have two philosophical differences here. There are times in the season you need urgency, and the sooner you get it to stop losing streaks, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, I don't think you win yourself any points by telling the fans, look, this is how it is in the big leagues, and trying to like explain it to the fans. My favorite announcers have been the guys that you can just hear the joy or the heartbreak in their voice. Last year, when the Brewers, when Alonso hit that ball out, and that was it for the Brewers, you could hear it in Bob Uecker's voice. Just he was just heartbroken, you know.
Yeah.
And and I like we have and I think Justin Steele is a breath of fresh air. You got that Japanese pitcher who I can't say his last name, but he plays with such exuberance. He smiles and he's if he gives up a home run, he's like, "You got to be kidding me!" And your center fielder Pete Crow Armstrong just plays with enthusiasm, and I think the fans feed off that. And the rest of the team does too. And I'm sure there's probably some other players too, but off the top of my head, that's the three I really remember. And I love seeing that. And on our radio side, we have Ricky Horton, who I absolutely love, class guy. And even when he's criticizing a player, he says, "Well, sometimes you got to do a little bit better job than that." He's so nice about it, but he's getting on them players a little bit too. And I think that's fair game. You're out there watching every single play, and somebody's lollygagging or not covering first base or whatever. I think something should be said. So I'm with you all the way. Some guys are more network radio announcers, game of the week kind of guys, and then some other guys are more team guys. We're part of the team here, so I'm with you. I'm sorry, I didn't know much about the announcer myself, but yeah, sometimes they just don't connect with the fan base.
Yeah, he's too corporate. And that's the way I look at it. Um, and yeah, talking about losing streaks, the 82 Cardinals. Um, I remember listening to a Mike Shannon uh, interviewing Whitey Herzog after the World Series. Not like right after the World Series, but sometime during that winter, he did an interview, and Whitey brought up that the Cardinals of that year never lost more than 3 games in a row. You look at that Cardinal team, they were not a great Cardinal team. The Brewers were a much better team on paper, but they had urgency. They had players that, you know, Keith Hernandez, he didn't give away an at bat. He looked angry every at bat. I mean, it was a war out there for him. And their players have different personalities. Some are laid back, some are, more in your face, but you've got to have the Keith Hernandez's, the Justin Steeles. You've got to have a few of those on your team that can tell the rest of the team you're lollygagging. Just, word of the day. I like that word, lollygagging.
I like that word. Ding ding ding.
So,
Everybody can take a drink now. He said
yeah.
lollygagging.
You know who never lollygags?
Oh, never. That man's on top of his game. He runs the bases, plays defense. Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor never lollygags. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. All right. I meant to bring this up earlier because it's something I meant to bring up at the beginning. It has nothing to do with baseball.
Oh,
I have been asked to do a comedy contest that JJ is going to MC. Uh, so if you would like to actually hear me do comedy, and I've done very little comedy the last couple of years, I'm doing this because it's at the American Legion in Festus, and I don't have far to drive. So yeah, I can go up the street and go to the contest is going to be on December 10th. And JJ, you got
December, I think it's December 7th, Saturday, December
yeah, December
7th.
7th. What did I say 7th. So yeah, December 7th at the American Legion in Festus. If you need ticket information, you can get a hold of either JJ or me through the leave a comment, leave us an email or something, and we will let you know how to get tickets. So, and as I said, I'm going to bathe in CLR because I need to knock the rust off of me. So,
We got a great lineup that night. Many of you are aware of all the local comedians and everything. Kathy Brenneman from Springfield, Elizabeth Hamilton from Carbondale, Illinois. We have Aked Muhammad, coming down from St. Louis. Danny Devine, radio host, going to be on there. Let's see. I'm ashamed. I'm trying to think about the other two people up there. Oh, Vince Hopper, of course, the one and only Vince Hopper. And I'm trying to remember who the sixth person is. I'm having trouble off the top of my head. Hmm. Well, they're going to get on to me later, but I can't remember. We're going to have a great lineup. Audience votes. Every comedian will do 10 to 15 minutes. And at the end, you vote for the best set, and they win $250. So come on out, have a good time. It's going to be a good time. And American Legion, it's a good cause out there. They're going to be serving drinks and everything. So come out, have a bunch of drinks, and watch the comedy.
And I will say, for those of you who've watched the show and have only heard me do very corny dad jokes, my set is a little more blue than that. So this is not for kids. In fact, it says on the flyer, this is no kids allowed. I'm not a filthy comic, but I'm certainly not a kid's comic. And you won't be here. You do hear a few dad jokes in there because I got to get in that.
Of course.
But yeah, I've had a few people say, when are you ever going to do comedy again? Now, okay, I'm going to do it now.
All right.
Right now. So, JJ and I thought what we would do is revisit our top five, and we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to do our top five baseball organizations of our lifetime. And this may have been the hardest thing I've ever done as far as our top five. What do you think, JJ?
Man, I took all the statistics I could think of, anything that would be important from 1974 to 2024, and I tried to break down all the numbers, winning percentages, playoff appearances, World Series, Hall of Famers that were inducted in those 50 years from that particular team. And my gosh, it was pretty hard. I came down with like 8 of the top ones and had to narrow it down to 5.
I had 8. I've got 3 honorable mentions, and I'll mention those when we get to number 1. But yeah. So why don't you get us started?
All right, number 5, Casey Kasem, American Top 40 here. Number 5. Whew, all right, I went with the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, and I'm going from 74 to 2024. In the 70s, I'm not going to make this a long drawn out thing, but in the 70s, the Braves was like an all-star ran. There was only 2 divisions in baseball, and they happened to be in the ones with the Dodgers and the Reds, and they were just always a 3rd or 4th place team back then. In the 80s, when Joe Torre was down there managing, they had a couple of really good years, made the playoffs, and then you had the Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox years where they made the playoffs 14 years in a row. The playoffs were expanded. But in that time, they won 1 World Series. They have been to a total of, I'll make that 6 playoffs and 2 World Series championships in those 50 years. And they've had 9 Hall of Famers. I remember a lot of great memories, a lot of really good teams, pitching heavy. Very jealous of that team. Did very, very well, had some stiff competition, but those 14 years, I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that, winning a division 14 years in a row, or making the playoffs 14 years in a row. I can't remember which, but and they have a 5.525 winning percentage in the last 50 years, which is pretty darn good. And they've let's see, I got them down. Well, I got numbers here that I don't know what they mean, but anyway, I have the Atlanta Braves. I'm trying to some of these things. Oh, they've made the playoffs 25 times in 50 years. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I got 25 encircled right there, and I believe that's how many times they made the playoffs in that time period. So anyway, Atlanta Braves, 2 world championships and a 525 winning percentage. That's my number 5.
See, I did not. I have Atlanta in my honorable mention.
Okay.
And the reason I didn't put them in the top 5 is because I went from the time I was born, 1966.
Oh, okay.
From 1966 until that run started in 91 or in, yeah, 91, they had two playoff appearances. They were terrible in the 70s and 80s. Um, and because they had such a long period of and when I say terrible, they were a Pittsburgh Pirate type terrible for 20 years, or fill in the blank with other terrible organizations, Pirates or whatever. They were just so terrible for 20 years, so I couldn't put them in my top five. And I didn't go into like Hall of Famers and everything. I just went strictly by the consistency of the organization, and I know there's ebbs and flows, ups and downs, so on and so forth. Um, and so that kind of disqualified them from being in my top five. But they were one of the teams that were like in my honorable mention. Um, my number five organization is the Boston Red Sox. And since in my lifetime, they have made the playoffs 19 times, have been to the World Series 7 times, and have won four of those World Series. And they've been consistently good. They in 67 lost in the World Series to the Cardinals. They made the World Series again in 75 and lost that classic to the Reds. They made the World Series in the 80s against the Mets. Um, and then in the 90s, they um, made the playoffs consistently. And then in the 2000s, they really took off and were not only making the World Series, but winning the World Series. So I had them as my number five organization. And I've also factored in, do players like playing there? And absolutely yes. So that's why Boston edged out Atlanta for those reasons for my number five.
Yeah, I did 74 to present day. And number four, and I try not to play favoritism, but I put the San Luis Cardinals. If you look at the Cardinals from 74, I know.
Team.
70, yeah. Hey, I didn't put them number one. I'm realistic. But from 74 to the present day, the Cardinals have had a nice run, 20 playoff appearances, 528 winning percentage. Um, I have them being in seven World Series, winning three, losing four. And in the 70s, the Cardinals were just kind of an also ran. It was kind of the end of the great 60s years, and some of those players were still there. And then finally they were gone. Whitey Herzog came in, and those 10 years in the 80s were electric. A couple of years there that was not so well, but most of the years were very good. The 90s, after Whitey left, you had the Joe Torre years. They just went with the young players, not very successful. And then you had Tony La Russa, and he went with more veterans and had some very good success, two world championships there, and left in 2011 along with Albert Pujols. Made one more World Series, and that's been it since then. But San Luis was always, there was an article come out, I think it was the worst thing that could have happened to us. The Sporting News said, the best fans in baseball, the San Luis Cardinals. And we're like, no, that's just going to make everybody hate us. I think we've got good fans, but I don't, how do you measure best fans? I don't know. We have good fans, and it's a good fan base. And for most of these 50 years, it's been great. A lot of players have wanted to come here. Now, the last 2 years being said, it's been kind of a really downward turn. But I hope we've had bad, in the history of the Cardinals, we've had some 1800s were terrible, but we've had some rough goes of it. But I think bright things are ahead of for us. And in that time period, we've had 11 Hall of Famers. So a lot of great players have come through. Me being a Cardinal fan, there's a lot of great memories, a lot of great games. And some games I'd like to forget, the Ryan Sandberg game. But overall, number four, I'm pretty proud of that. We've had some world championships. And so, go Cardinals. So I'll put Cardinals number four.
My number four team is the Oakland Athletics.
Ooh, good one.
Um, they were really good from 71 until about 76. Uh, Four playoff appearances, three World Series appearances, three championships in the 70s. Then in the 80s, uh, at the end of the 80s, with the Bash Brothers, three more World Series appearances, um, uh, one World Series victory in there, and really good. And then uh, throughout the 2000s, they have had their share of playoff appearances. And what I'm really impressed by the Athletics is the way they do it now. And I know, oh, well, they were terrible last year. Well, they wasn't as bad as we thought they were going to be. They always seem to somehow play better. And sometimes they're making playoff appearances with teams you think, huh? How are they making playoff appearances? But in the beginning of my lifetime in the 70s and those teams in the late 80s, early 90s, they were doing it with talent. And then what they did is they transformed themselves into being a Moneyball team. And they were the first team to kind of put that in place. And it was so revolutionary. They were making playoff appearances when they had no business making playoff appearances. Now the rest of the league is kind of caught up with them. And it's just a different ball game, for lack of a better term. But to transform into a team that does it a different way and to still make playoffs, I thought was very impressive. They've had 21 playoff appearances since my birth, been in six World Series and won four of them. And it's just sad that a team that I see with all the success in my lifetime is moving. And I know there is the argument, and I argued with myself, how can I put them as one of the top organizations when they screwed it up so bad in Oakland, lost the fan base, and now they're moving out? That's probably why they're not higher. Um, I'm going by the success that they have had. And what really pushed them into my top five is the success that they've had in the 2000s, which really I'm not sure they were that deserving.
And I'm very well said, Vince. I like that a lot of their players, like in the 70s years, when they ended up just pretty much getting rid of them, they littered the rosters of the MLB for the next 10, 15 years and were major players on other teams. Those teams in the 2000s, they didn't really, they kept them until they were about ready to go free agent. They went out to other teams and they were big contributors to championships and everything else. So they must have a heck of a minor leagues to bring up these guys that are so good and then keep getting prospects and working them up to terrific players. And that Rooker kid you mentioned before, he's pretty darn good. He's an exciting player. So that good one. Well, my number three, I went with the Boston Red Sox at number three. Now they've made the playoffs 18 times in this 50-year span, and they've won four World Series. The reason I put them ahead of the Cardinals is they beat us twice in these 50 years of the World Series. And hey, I got to pay respect to the Boston Red Sox. Iconic ballpark, iconic players, tough fans, but man, they stand by their team. They show up. They always compete. It always seems like for some reason the Boston Red Sox minor leagues develop hitters. All these hitters, some of the best hitters in baseball have come through the Boston Red Sox. Well, Babe Ruth came through the best Boston Red Sox. You got, Speaker and Williams and all these guys and Dewey Evans and just a ton of these fantastic hitters have come through. And they had a 539 winning percentage in these 50 years and six World Series appearances, four championships, and nine Hall of Famers. And, epic, maybe the greatest rivalry in all of sports, the Red Sox and the Yankees in the same division, fighting it out every year. I still remember, I think it was Pudge running over Munson and a big old fight ensued. And even though usually the Yankees come out on top of those year in, year out, every once in a while, Red Sox get their chance. What a battle. And it's always a treat to see the Red Sox and Yankees go at it. So I've enjoyed the Red Sox many times, and I put them as my number three team.
My number three team is the St. Louis Cardinals, and
Yes.
I put them number three because I'm on drugs. I can't argue with the success. The only real drought was after Augie died and before DeWitt bought the team. They had those years where they were on a very tight budget, and Augie was the baseball fan of the family. The kids really didn't pick up the fandom, and it just kind of became, yeah, we got this baseball team, and finally, let's just sell it, make our millions, and be done with it. And then DeWitt bought it and brought them back to prominence. But my lifetime, they've been consistently good. They did have that 70s time when they weren't terrible. They had, I think, one year that was really bad in the late 70s, but they weren't terrible. They were just mediocre, uh, yeah, kind of a decent team. But then in the 80s, they, for those of you who are too young to remember the 80s, baseball was so different. And the Cardinals under Whitey Herzog revolutionized the way baseball was played, kind of brought it back to the dead ball era, a lot of hit and run in the gaps, stolen bases, stuff like that, because they had Busch Stadium, which was artificial turf, the old Busch, huge outfield. And so they were smart enough to say, okay, let's just get a lot of speed and athleticism on this team and let's run teams out of the building. And that's what they did. And then the sustained success they've had since then, besides that time period where Augie was gone and DeWitt hadn't bought the team yet, they've been consistently good. I think one of the issues with Cardinal fans today is they've become accustomed to that. So when they've had these down years, the last 2 years, um, they kind of
They know how to
kind of
handle it.
a little bit of we deserve better
Right.
than this. Um, but that mindset comes with a lot of success, and Cub fans are going through that right now because we had a lot of success in the uh, 20 teens, and now we're like, hey, we deserve better than this. We're the Chicago Cubs. So I got them at number three.
Thank you. I'm honored you said that. Well, Vince, I think the top two, we have the same two, but I don't know if we got them in the same order or not. And I will go number two, and then maybe you can do number one if we both agree here. Um, Number two, I have your Los Angeles Dodgers as the number two team in the last 50 years.
I do
And
too.
I have them making the playoffs in 50 years 25 times. And for all you younger folks, in my lifetime, the Dodgers, just like the Red Sox come up with hitters, the Dodgers, for some reason, are able to develop these pitchers from. I could just, it's like a roll call of 50 guys that have come through that have been better than the, like, except a couple of our pitchers. And, and their pitchers are littered all over the league. You know, if they choose to leave or go there and have heck of a years, their ballpark is a pitcher's ballpark, and they've had such great players, but they're always near the top or at the top. I remember in the '70s, you can just everybody knows the catcher all the way around the infield. They had the same guys for about 10 years there. They don't switch managers very often, so there's a lot of consistency with their teams, from Walter Austin to Lasorda, Tom Lasorda, and Roberts, who's been there for a while now. They just don't switch managers that often. A 549 winning percentage. And in this time, they've won 4 World Series and some classic World Series, some classic games, some great players, some great moments. I have to say, and the Dodgers team that's out there now that just won the World Championship, a classy team who they're not showboating and thinking about their brand. They just go out there and play a nice brand of team baseball. Always seem to make some great trades. Always seems to have they're so good all the time, and they draft at the end of each round, and they still come up with good players. Always seem to have a rookie of the year, probably more rookies of the year than any other team, and they have had 10 Hall of Famers in the last 50 years, and just one of the I think yard marks of the MLB, and second biggest city in the United States, and they have a huge following out there in LA. And there's so many other things that could distract you, but it seems like the Dodgers always have a lot of fans there and support their team. So my number two is the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, I concur with everything you said there. There was that time period where they spent a lot of money, and I don't remember, they were owned by a husband and wife, and they went through a divorce. And in the divorce proceedings, they had to sell the team, even though they spent a lot of money. They weren't making a whole lot of noise. And then the new ownership team bought the team. One of the minority owners is Magic Johnson, probably one of the most competitive human beings on the face of the earth. And I think that's one of the benefits you have when you have an athlete who's played at that level with that drive being a part of the ownership team. And Magic has more money than God because he's an entrepreneur, um, movie theaters, all kinds of stuff that he's done in his lifetime. But to have someone on the top that has that kind of competitive drive, that's why it trickles down to where this, okay, we will spend $700 million on Otani and another 300 million on Yamamoto, and oh, we'll throw in Teoscar Hernandez too. They have that competitive edge that a lot of teams lack. And I think a lot of that is Magic Johnson's influence. So I have them number two. I have a few honorable mentions. We mentioned the Braves. I also have the Giants as an honorable mention. The Giants just didn't have a whole lot of success in the 70s and not a whole lot in the 80s. And they really hit their stride in the 90s. And then the 2000s, they just started winning World Series. So I've got them as an honorable mention. I also have the Phillies. The Phillies have been consistently good for most of my life. And they were probably even closer to the Braves than the Braves to making the top five in my group. And I also have the Rays in here because
Oh,
in that ballpark with those finances, there's not much of a fan base, and they still generally, since 2008, have kept themselves in the mix in a very tough division. Um, and I see the Rays um, is a team that invests so heavily in scouting and player development that they they do get their Wander Francos every now and then, and that's kind of blown up in their face. But um, they generally just don't have these great, awesome players, but they know talent when they see it, and they know how to develop it, make it major league ready. And it used to be the thought was, well, they have their success because of Joe Madden. Well, Madden left, cash came in, they just kept sustaining. So I have them as an honorable mention too. Number one,
go ahead.
the Evil Empire,
Oh,
the
the
New
Evil
York
Empire.
Jerkies, who in my lifetime have made the playoffs 30 times, which is amazing because I'm 28 years old. I don't know how that happens. Um, they have been in 12 World Series and they have won eight. Um, iconic team, iconic success. And there was a time in the late 80s, early 90s when the Yankees were not that good. Steinbrenner was having problems. He was banned for a while by MLB and stuff like that. But besides that time period, they've been consistently good to great. And the iconic players, even though I don't like some of them, Jeter, Reggie, Catfish Hunter,
Thurman,
pardon me,
Thurman Munson.
Herman Munson, Judge, A-Rod, uh, just iconic players that wear the pinstripes. So I had to put them number one, and honestly, wasn't even that close. So, and that's why we're all jealous of the Yankees.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you. Yankees, all them they've won 7 World Series in my lifetime and been there 12 times, 11 Hall of Famers, the biggest fan base. They can be tough on their team. And they booed Judge in April and May, and he come on to probably have an MVP type year this year. but man, they love their team, and it's a tough place to play too because they're so loud and obnoxious being there. But just a place where it seems like all the players would. I just want to put on that pinstripes and be a part of the legendary Yankees. And man, going all the way back to the 20s, they've been pretty good. I think they had a lull in the late 60s through the early 70s, and after that, they were
25.
back at it again.
Yep.
So, man, look out!
Well, JJ, I don't know if you remember last week, but my first three cards were Hall of Famers.
You killed last week.
I'm feeling good. I've got 88 tops, and I'm going to say three Hall of Famers again.
Woo!
Ah,
I'm going one, and I also took the the 2024 update set. This is not the one with the Otani card in it. Those are the Chrome 2024. So anyway, so I've got the update set here. You want to open up yours first?
sure. And I will guarantee you, I will not have an Otani in mind, being he wasn't born yet. But there is one thing I have that Otani doesn't have,
Oh,
and I will tell you what that is.
is it hard?
Gum.
Ah, the killer gum.
36-year-old gum.
36-year-old gum. Look at that.
Yeah,
And
imagine
it's
that.
not stale because it was never fresh.
Look at, yeah, it's still a perfect.
Yeah.
It smells like gum.
Ah, yeah.
All right. And so does my package smell like gum. So let's see what we got here. Hall of Famer, Jack Morris.
Oh, I love Jack Morris. 84 Tigers.
Mm. Ed Whitson for the Padres.
Not a Hall of
Strange
Famer.
character. Strange character. I remember he pitched for the
Oh,
Yankees and he was booed so much in Yankee Stadium, they only pitched him on road games one year.
oh, really?
And he made a comment and being interviewed um, about hitting a player. And he basically said, yeah, if a player is gonna, show me up her hot dog, I'm gonna show him the stitches of the baseball. Wow, here's a guy who
Whitson. Look
oh
out.
pitcher for the Cubs, Les Lancaster.
I remember him.
Uh, Former quarterback for the University of Michigan, also played outfield for the Blue Jays, Rick Leach.
I remember Rick Leach. Yes. And if you played for a few years.
Yep. Uh, he did have one decent season, hit 309 and 86. I do remember that.
Oh, that's a great year.
Detroit Tiger pitcher Mike Henneman.
From Festus.
Is he really?
They'll probably say St. Charles on the back of that
Oh,
card, but
wow.
I think he played
Festus,
for
Missouri. You're right.
Festus, Missouri.
Born in
He's
St.
if you go to Jefferson College, they've got like a little Hall of Fame in there, and he's in there.
Where does he
He
live
played.
now?
I don't know, but I know he played like his first 2 years at Jeffco.
Well, man, we should get this guy on the podcast.
We should, yes. My
If
friend Troy Lou faced him in high school ball.
really
That's what he said. I ain't gonna
cool.
argue with
I
him.
did not know that guy was Festus. Second Hall of Famer, the
Woo.
beer drinking, womanizing, batting champion Wade Boggs.
That man could drink a few, eats chicken, and wins batting title.
There you go. Uh,
Margot Adams. The name Margot Adams comes to me. Is that a lady he knew?
that was his
Yeah.
mission. Yeah.
How about that? Look at that. The strangest things I remember.
Um, for the Twins, pitcher Les Straker, who pitched in that 87 World Series against the Cardinals.
I've tried to erase some of that in my mind, Vince.
I think he started game three, game
Oh,
four. No, he started game four. Yeah.
okay.
Former Royals infielder Bill Pacoda.
I remember him. Not a lot, but I remember that name.
That's
Extra.
uh, Cleveland Indians leaders. We have, looks like Joe Carter and Pat Tabler. Anyway,
Yeah,
here they are.
there they are. Dynamic duo.
Joe or Corey Snyder. That was Corey Snyder. Corey Snyder led the team in home runs with 33. Joe Carter had 106 RBIs. Brett Butler, God, he played 33 stolen bases. Played for the Indians. Batting average, Julio Franco, 319. And they had some hitters. Pat Tabler had 171 hits.
Wow.
They just didn't have the pitching. They
Yeah.
had three pitchers lead the team in wins: Scott Bales, Tom Candiotti, and Phil Niekro. 7 wins. Top
Yeah.
strikeout
21.
pitcher. Yeah, yeah. Top strikeout pitcher Tom Candiotti with 111. Saves Doug Jones 8. Uh, Tom Candiotti led the team in ERA with 4.78. This tells me this team had injuries to the pitching staff. So,
Yes.
but the offense was there. Third, Hall of Famer, the Hawk, Andre
Oh, and he's in a Cubby uniform there. Yeah.
Delgado. Ah, this guy, I think his son plays in Major League Baseball, Bobby Witt.
Oh, yeah. I heard that name.
Oh, not Dane, but Garth Orge.
Garth Orange. Yeah.
Oh, Dane, who played for the Cardinals. Good hitter, good hitter.
Good hitter. And he got his revenge on us in that 85 World Series. He was a member of the Kansas City Royals. Had a
Yeah.
big hit in that series.
Pitcher for the Mariners, Mark Langston, who is probably best known as he was traded to the Expos for Randy Johnson.
Ooh. Hey.
And this is
Langston had a lot
why
of strikeouts.
he had come off of 2 years where he had led the league in strikeouts, 245, 262 strikeouts. He had 18 wins, 19 wins. And that's why the Expos got rid of Randy Johnson for him because they were doing a playoff push. He sucked with the Expos and never kind of rebounded.
Right.
Expos leaders.
Ooh.
A lot of home runs. Tim Wallach, RBIs, Tim Wallach, stolen bases, Tim Raines. I guess if your name was Tim, you're really good. Wins. Neil Heaton with 12 wins. So
I remember Neil. He was a pirate too.
and last player for the Rangers, pitcher Dwayne Henry. Do not remember Dwayne Henry.
I don't remember Dwayne Henry.
Or
Oh,
the
bless his
second
heart.
in a row, I have three Hall of Famers.
And 4 if you want to count Mike Henneman because he's a Jeffco Hall of Famer. So
There,
three,
there you
three
go.
and a half. Well, before I get started on my cards, I'm just going to remind everybody, Boys Dream Hobby Shop, Ray Langford, there he is right there, December 7th, 1 to 3. And they'll take care of you. They have cards, uniforms, pictures, everything. And it's pretty reasonably priced. Get down there, shake his hand, get a picture with him, and get some of your things signed. I'll be down there. Matter of fact, I'll be down there in the day and up there doing comedy at night at the American Legion.
Yeah, just go to Boys Dream Hobby Shop, get your autographs, and then just everybody convoy on up here.
Come on, I'm going to invite Ray Langford to the show. So you may see Ray Langford at the comedy show.
Awesome.
All right. My cards is the updated cards from 2024. These are players that were late signs near spring training or came up through the season or was traded during the season. And my first one is Shote. I can never say his name. In the Managa. There we go.
Shota
And
Imanaga.
it's a chrome card. I like this guy. I like his press conferences. He's got a lot of personality and he's just fun.
Oh yeah,
He's a fun
he's the
player.
man.
All right. Well, our White Sox friend. These are some rookie combos: Lane Ramsey and Edgar Navarro, 2 young White Sox pitchers, right there. So they're doing the combination pictures again, and hopefully they have a long career there. Third baseman, Milwaukee Brewers, Oliver Dunn, and this is a rookie card for him. And to be honest, I do not know Oliver Dunn. Do not know that name, but he's an up and coming player. Mitch Spence, a pitcher with the Athletics, not the Oakland Athletics now, not the Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics. So there he is. A lot of these guys you won't hear because they just came up for a cup of coffee. Layden Roop from the Giants. There he is. So these are some of these players might be big stars here in the future. Let's see, Danny Colum from the Orioles. I honestly do not know him. He's not a rookie. He doesn't have the rookie insignia on his thing. Lucas Giolito from the Red Sox. There he is. We have Michael Lorenzen from the Texas Ranger, a bullpen pitcher there. There he is.
Also a great hitter.
And Jake Bowers, a first baseman from the Milwaukee Brewers. I like that card, that action card right there.
Hall of Famer.
And Pittsburgh Pirate catcher, who was with the Giants, Joey Bart. So he's over there with the Pirates now. I thought he was going to be the Giants catcher for years to come.
That's probably the best thing that happened for him because he had so much pressure following Buster Posey. And go to Pittsburgh, you don't have the media like you do in San Francisco. I think that may be beneficial to him in the long run.
I think he's going to have a nice career, as
Yeah.
long as he stays healthy. And then my last card is a Cleveland Guardian, Kyle Manzardo, the first baseman. He's a rookie here for the Guardians. There he is right there. Nice picture. So a lot of these are just young players, and sometimes you'll get a player that was traded or a veteran who's just moving around from team to team, like a Tommy Pham type player. But these are the ones in the update cards. But every once in a while, you pick up one of these cards, and 2 years later, they're a superstar guy making the All-Star team. So you just never know with these update cards. And that's my set.
Very good. Well, JJ, do not have tooth problems for a few weeks till your surgery. Get that taken care of. And I think the best way to go is just to have them all pulled out and have false teeth.
Oh man. If anything, I don't need that problem with this mug. No teeth.
When my dad had false teeth, all I could my whole life I remember my dad having false teeth. I'm not talking about like a partial. He had a full set of false teeth, so he's always had false teeth. My friend Scott, his dad, was like late 20s whenever we were in grade school. He had a full set of false teeth. My wife's biological father, who died of leukemia when she was like 8 years old, he had false teeth by the time he got out of high school. It used to be if you had teeth problems, it just, pull them, I'll give you false teeth. You don't do that anymore. I would love to have false teeth, man. Just take them out. Yeah.
My grandpa, he was in the Marines. He was the first Marines that went in after the atomic bomb. And all the young guys and lost their hair, arm hair, all the hair on the body, and lost their teeth. And I remember he'd come in and he'd have his teeth in his shirt pocket. He'd be eating corn on the cob.
So, well, JJ, you have a good week.
You too, Vince.
Everybody out there have a good week, and it looks like things are starting to roll. Maybe we'll get a few more trades, a signing or two, and then the winter meetings. Once the winter meetings hit, hopefully things really start rolling. We'll have some great stuff on the show. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week.